Hi friends, I'm your friend Shanku and today I'm going to read a book on the biography of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Friends, this is a book by Satyam's biography series, The Great Personality, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, written by Dr. R.C. Das. Introduction. Popularly known as Abul Pakir Jainulabedin Abdul Kalam, is a distinguished engineer who is known for his work as the missile man of India. He is also considered as a mentor, innovator, and visionary of India. In course of the journey, he has been associated with almost all Indian technological milestones, from the first rocket launch vehicle, the first Indian satellite, the first strategic missile, and to the Indian nuclear program. He became the 11th President of India, and due to his easy accessibility, he is called as the People's President. No one could be a better president for this comparatively poor nation, whose sister had to pawn her jewel ornaments to send him to Chennai for a diploma in engineering from Madras Institute of Technology. The man has changed the very face of the country. He believes that India lost its greatness in the past as it became technologically inferior. He believes that the modern arms of India deter other nations from attacking or subjugating India and therefore are weapons of peace. He displays remarkable energy, working late into the night and waking up early to go for a 2-hour walk. In his Spartan habits, he is a vegetarian, teetotaler, and has never smoked. That allows him to be constantly alert. He is a bachelor. He is permanently wed to science and technology. APJ Abdul Kalam's journey from sleepy Rameshwaram to the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi is an inspiring and eventful one. His views on issues of peace and weapons seem to be contradictory. On close examination of his thoughts, it looks practical. He said, in the 3000-year history of India, barring 600 years, the country has been ruled by others. If you need development, the country should witness peace, and peace is ensured by strength. Missiles are developed to strengthen the country. Childhood. APJ Abdul Kalam was born on the 15th of October 1931 in a middle-class family in Rameshwaram, a town famous for its Hindu shrines. Rameshwaram is an island at the tip of the Indian peninsula. It is a very important pilgrim center, being one of the 4 dhams. It is the place from where Lord Rama built a bridge across the sea to rescue his wife Sita from Ravana. Lord Rama worshipped Lord Shiva here. This place is also called as the Benares of the South. Spread over an area of 61.8 square kilometers, the island has the shape of a conch. Dhanushkodi, named after Lord Rama's bow, is 8 kilometers from Rameshwaram. It was here at a place called Tikundi. APJ Abdul Kalam was born. Kalam's father was a boat owner, while his mother Ashiamma was educated. His father Jainulabedin Marakayar, a devout Muslim, was not a well-educated person. Marakayar was a good friend of Hindu religious leaders and the school teachers at Rameshwaram. He did not have much wealth but possessed great innate wisdom, generosity, and was a spiritual person. He rented boats to fishermen in a remote belt of a spiritually charged island town. Abdul Kalam is the 7th and youngest child of A.P. Amavalam, Jainulabedin Muhammad, and Aziza Amal. Kalam had a materially and spiritually secure childhood. Being the youngest in the family, he was pampered a lot. He inherited most of the basic moral principles from his parents, honesty and discipline from his father, and faith in goodness and kindness from his mother. Kalam also learnt a lot from his close friend Ahmed Jalaluddin and his first cousin Samsuddin, who did not have any formal school education. Kalam had 3 close childhood friends. They were all Orthodox Hindu Brahmins. One of them was the son of the high priest of the Rameshwaram temple. Their religious beliefs never came in the way of their friendship. Among the bedtime stories that his grandmother told him are tales from Ramayana. So it was a truly secular upbringing that Kalam enjoyed. One incident that happened at the Rameshwaram Elementary School was upsetting to him. He was studying in the 5th standard then. One day, a new teacher came to the class. Kalam and his friend Ramananda Shastri, the priest's son, always sat together in the front row. Seeing the Muslim boy with his trademark cap sitting next to the Brahmin boy, the teacher was offended and asked Kalam to go and sit in the back row. Kalam obeyed the teacher's instructions, but when the two friends returned home, they told their parents about it. The priest Lakshmana Shastri summoned the teacher and cautioned him not to spread communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. The teacher was made to apologize to the children as well. The chastened teacher mended his ways thereafter. His science teacher was different. Though an orthodox Brahmin, he was something of a rebel. One day he invited Kalam to his house for a meal. His wife was horrified at the thought of a Muslim boy dining in her ritually purified kitchen and refused to serve Kalam. So Iyer served his student himself and sat down to eat his meal. When Kalam was leaving, he invited him to his house the next weekend. He told Kalam that once they had decided to change the system, one should learn how to confront such problems. The next time he went to Iyer's house, he was delightfully surprised to see the teacher's wife serve him food in the kitchen without any qualms. His older neighbors knew him as an introvert interested in reading. Books were a scarce commodity in the environment he grew up in. His neighbors also encouraged him to read books. Kalam grew up in an intimate relationship with nature. As a child, he was fascinated by the flight of seagulls. Education. Kalam completed his elementary school education from the Rameshwaram Elementary School. Kalam studied at the Squads High School at Ramnathpuram, where he was fortunate enough to study under some inspiring teachers he remembers to whom with gratitude. His teachers at school inculcated in him self-esteem and confidence and taught him the powerful roles played in the life by 3 factors: desire, belief, and expectation. Though Kalam's family was financially secure, it was not very well off. Kalam sold newspapers when he was studying in school. Kalam was keen to complete his higher studies in college and he entered the St. Joseph's College at Tiruchi in 1950 at the age of 18. Teachers like Rev. F.R. Sequeria of St. Joseph's College exerted considerable influence on him. Kalam was greatly impressed by the way students of different faiths lived in harmony, peace, and happiness. Physics was a subject that fascinated him, and he slowly began to realize that through science, spiritual enrichment and self-realization were possible. He also developed an interest in subjects like cosmology and science in general. After graduating in science from St. Joseph's College and getting a BSc degree, he enrolled for aeronautical engineering at the Madras Institute of Technology in 1954. This private institution was the only one in the country then which offered post-BSc and diploma courses in aeronautical engineering, automobile engineering, electronic and instrument technology. Monetary difficulties to join the Madras Institute of Technology were solved when his sister readily agreed to mortgage her gold bangles and chain to raise the necessary amount of rupees 1,000. He was, however, determined to repay this amount to his sister as early as possible and also to win a scholarship, which he did at the institute. His last year at MIT was a year of transition, which left a deep impact on his later life. He had to reconcile his religious beliefs with his scientific temper as he wondered whether matter alone was the ultimate reality. His touching memory at the MIT concerns son Professor Sponder, one of his teachers. While posing for a group photograph as a part of a farewell ritual, Sponder called Kalam to his side and asked him to sit with him. Kalam was moved by this gesture, which singled him out from the other graduating students. Sponder also praised him, and he said that Kalam was his best student. Career. One can jokingly say that Dr. Kalam has started his career by selling newspapers as a school child. After completing his third year at MIT, he joined Hindustan Aeronautics Limited (HAL) at Bangalore as a trainee. Here he worked on piston and turbine engines, examining as part of a team. He also received training on radial engine cum drum operations. Here he also learned how to check a crankshaft for wear and tear and a connecting rod and crankshaft for twist. In 1958, he came out of Hall as a graduate of aeronautical engineering. As aeronautical engineer, two options were available to him. One was to join the Directorate of Technical Development and Production (DTD), or he could join the Indian Air Force. He was called for an interview at both places. He missed the Air Force by the proverbial whisker. He stood ninth in the batch of 25, but only 8 officers were selected to be commissioned. Disheartened by his failure to make it, he went to Rishikesh. There he met Swami Shivananda. On hearing of the reason behind Kalam's sorrow, Swami advised him to surrender to God's will. He consoled Kalam, saying that his destiny was not to become an Air Force pilot, and assured him that he would eventually discover his true destiny. He lost his resentment of failure, thinking he would be able to make aeroplanes airworthy if not fly aeroplanes. After returning to Delhi, Kalam joined the Technical Center Civil Aviation of the DTD and PAR as senior scientific assistant on a basic salary of Rs 250 per month. During his first year in the directorate, he carried out a design assignment on supersonic target aircraft with the help of his officer in charge R. Varadrajan and won praise from the director Dr. Nilkantan. Then he was sent to Aircraft and Armament Testing Unit A and ATU at Kanpur to get shop floor exposure to aircraft maintenance. Upon his return to Delhi, he was informed that the design of a DART target had been taken up at the DTD and P, and he was included in the design team. He undertook a preliminary design study on human centrifuge. He designed and developed a vertical takeoff and landing platform and hot cockpit. 3 years later, the Aeronautical Development Establishment ADE was formed in Bangalore, and he was posted there. Here he headed a team to develop a prototype hovercraft. Kalam was at the controls when Defense Minister Krishna Menon rode in India's first indigenous hovercraft. Unfortunately, the project became mired in a controversy and it was shelved. Kalam was very disappointed. During this period of dejection, Dr. Mendiratta, director of the Aeronautical Development Establishment, asked him to organize a demonstration for an important visitor. It was none other than Professor M.G.K. Menon, director of the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research (TIFR. Menon asked him several questions about the machine, after which Kalam took him for a short ride in the hovercraft. A week later, he received a call from the Indian Committee for Space Research (INCOPSPAR) to attend an interview for the post of rocket engineer. He went to Bombay and was interviewed by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, Professor M.G.K. Menon and Mr. Sharaf, Deputy Secretary of the Atomic Energy Commission. He was selected and he joined India's nascent space program in 1962. During 1962 to 1982, he served at the Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO) in various capacities. Here Kalam initiated fiber-reinforced plastics FRP activities. After a stint with the Aerodynamics and Design Group, he joined the Satellite Launch Vehicle team at Thumba near Trivandrum and soon became the project director for SLV-3. It was in 1976 that Kalam's father passed away. He had been in poor health for some time. He had led an exemplary life, according to Kalam. After the funeral, Kalam returned to work at Thumba. Soon after, when Kalam was to depart for France to solve some problems connected to the SLV-3 APJ rocket, he received the news that his mother too had expired. He rushed back to Rameswaram. It was a difficult period for him emotionally, as he had lost the two people who had meant the most to him. His faith in God saw him through these trying times. Eventually, he went to France and successfully tested the SLV-3 APJ motor. After he returned to India, he had a memorable encounter with Wernher Braun, the man who made the lethal V-2 missiles that devastated London during the Second World War. Braun was captured by the Allied forces just before the war ended, and in recognition of his genius was given a top post in NASA's rocketry program. While working for the US Army, Braun produced the landmark Jupiter missile. Kalam was asked to receive Braun at Madras and escort him to Thumba. During their flight to Trivandrum, Kalam asked him how it felt to live in America after living in Germany. Braun had become a cult figure in America after he developed the Saturn rocket for the Apollo mission, which put man on moon. Braun replied, "America is a country of great possibilities, but they look upon everything un-American with suspicion and contempt. They suffer from a deep-rooted NIH, not invented here, complex and look down upon alien technologies. If you want to do anything in rocketry, do it yourself." He also advised Kalam to make rocketry his mission and religion rather than just a profession for livelihood. Having suffered 3 deaths, his brother-in-law Jalaluddin also passed away in the family. Kalam threw himself into his work with greater zeal and commitment. He stopped playing badminton in the evenings, took no holidays, and entertained neither family nor friends. As project director, he was responsible for carrying out the design, development, qualification, and flight testing of 44 major subsystems. The project managed to put Rohini, a scientific satellite, into orbit in July 1980. The Missile Man. In 1982, as director of DRDO, Kalam was entrusted with the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program IGMDP, India's most successful military research task to date. The program constituted of 5 major projects for meeting the requirements of the defense services and for establishing re-entry technology. From his SLV-3 experience, Kalam had learned the advantages of teamwork and of sharing the tasks with partners in private and public sector industries. In the new management structure of the missile program, Kalam, as the chairman of the program management board, delegated almost all executive and financial powers to 5 carefully selected project directors, and he kept himself free to address the core technology issues. His task was to inspire and monitor over 20 institutions and partners outside, ranging from large public sector and private sector suppliers to small specialist firms that needed seed money to take up precision tasks. The missiles went up more or less on specific schedule. Trishul in 1985, Prithvi in 1988, Agni in 1989, and the others in 1990. The development and successful flight test of Prithvi, Trishul, Akash, Nag, and Agni established the indigenous capability towards self-reliance in defense preparedness. The successful launching of Agni surface-to-surface missile was a unique achievement which made India a member of an exclusive club of highly developed nations. The Trishul has the unique distinction of being capable of serving all the 3 services. The establishment of the Research Center Imarat RCI, a campus 8 kilometers from DRDL, in 1988 was perhaps the most satisfying achievement for Kalam during the missile years. He received generous funding from the government to build the futuristic center, which is totally geared up for the work in advanced missile technologies. Its state-of-the-art facilities are set in a unique ambience, and the level of comfort accorded to the individual worker is matched by a few research and development institutions. Kalam's interest in the environment saw RCI emerge as an oasis in a rocky wasteland. It has a small farm that meets the food requirements of those who stay in the RCI quarters. Kalam was instrumental in the re-emergence of the DRDI. This was made possible as Kalam and the then scientific advisor to the Defense Minister Dr. V.S. Arunachalam have always acknowledged by the crucial role played by R. Venkataraman, who was the Defense Minister. Kalam was asked to prepare a blueprint to make India a missile nation. After working with DRDL veterans for over 6 months, followed by consultations with Arunachalam, Kalam gave a proposal to Venkataraman. It was a scheme under which 5 missile development programs were to be taken up one after another. Venkataraman refused the scheme. The minister suggested that Kalam and Arunachalam recast the plan in such a way as to develop all missile prototypes under one program. They did it. Kalam's immediate concern was that he would have to tell his colleagues back in Hyderabad that he had committed them to 5 formidable tasks instead of 1, and the time frame was 10 years. Out of this audacious initiative was born the guided missile program, India's most successful military research task to date. Kalam's codenames for the program's 5 components were Prithvi, a surface-to-surface battlefield missile; Nag, an anti-tank missile (ATM); Akash, a swift medium-range surface-to-air missile (SAM); Trishul, a quick reaction SAM with a shorter range; and Agni, an intermediate-range ballistic missile, the mightiest of them all. Kalam's contribution in the scheme has been acknowledged by all who worked with him. He set for himself a grueling schedule. The first half hour of the day was reserved for what was called the morning meeting, where administrative heads met him to take decisions on routine functions. During this period, any employee could walk in and discuss administrative problems, which were usually sorted out the same day. The rest of the day was devoted to hands-on interaction with project teams working on a campus spread over 40 hectares. After 10 years in DRDL, he went to Delhi to take over from Arunachalam as the scientific advisor to the defense minister. However, the system created by Kalam had taken a firm hold in that decade, and the missile program passed on smoothly into its final phase of production and induction. In Delhi, Kalam, as head of DRDO, had to deliver other prestigious projects such as the main battle tank MBT Arjun and the light combat aircraft LCA projects. While management practices he adopted for the missile program have inevitably rubbed off on these projects, there are no miracles to be had in strategic development areas. There have been technical problems, as Arunachalam put it. We are now mature, we learn from mistakes and push on ahead. Strength respects strength. This is Kalam's usual response to the question why India needs its own missiles or battle tanks or combat aircrafts. Kalam is a technocrat. Although there are suggestions that he should use his status, which has been enhanced by the award of Bharat Ratna, to push for the active induction of Agni, it would be uncharacteristic of him to press his view too much in geopolitical matters. He is the happiest at the drawing board. In discussion with his scientists on how their dreams for the next millennium can be fulfilled, the projects envisaged include a terminal guidance system for Agni so that it can be precision targeted, an air-breathing spacecraft that draws oxygen from the atmosphere rather than carry it all the way from the ground, reusable missiles, and stealthy technology. Kalam has shown that with adequate funding, freedom from procedural holdups, and a people-oriented management, India can make products of internationally acceptable technical standards in a demanding area like defense. Kalam is no miracle man. As the head of a vast network of laboratories whose products include avalanche controlling structures in Kashmir, water desalination kits for the Thar Desert, a world-class sonar submarine finder for the new ship INS Delhi, and infrared night vision goggles for the army, Kalam's attention is necessarily a bit diffused. Today, the multifaceted APJ Abdul Kalam is best known as the father of the Indian missile program. Freedom, development and self-reliance are arrived at on the basis of achievements and progress made by India during his career as missile scientist. President of India. On Thursday, the 18th of July 2002, missile man APJ Abdul Kalam was elected as the 11th president by an overwhelming margin, trouncing the left-backed Lakshmi Sehgal. Kalam secured 89.58% of the total vote value of 10,30,250 in an electoral college of 4,896 legislators, including 776 MPs, while his 87-year-old rival Sehgal got 10.42%. He became the fourth president to win by huge margin after Rajendra Prasad, Dr. Radhakrishnan and K.R. Narayanan, who all got more than 90% vote value. Dr. Kalam had overwhelming political support assured from NDA, BSP, TDP, AIDMK, Congress, Samajwadi Party and others. As the result was a foregone conclusion, he mixed freely with members of parliament. It was only the left that opposed him. Yechuri said, "Politics is a murky game, so we did not want him to enter it." CPM Supremo Hari Krishan Singh Surjit was more candid in his reaction when he said, "Kalam lacks the political grist to the mill, which is very crucial for a presidential candidate. So we decided to oppose Kalam, who is a BJP candidate, and put up our own candidate against him." INA veteran 87 years old Sehgal, who put up a spirited fight, congratulated Kalam on his victory, but she would continue to work for her campaign goals that included the fight against the danger posed by communal forces. Kalam's election climaxed an unusual contest when two other candidates, former governor of Maharashtra P.C. Alexander and Vice President Krishna Kant, were considered initially by the NDA and dumped following stiff opposition from the Congress. Kalam, a visionary and a dreamer extraordinary, became the third Muslim to occupy the highest post after Zakir Hussain and Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed. He is also the second non-political president of India after Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. When the news of his election reached Rameswaram, his elder brother Muthu was very happy. He said, "It is an honor to Rameswaram. My prayers to Ramnatha Swami did not go in vain." Nasima Begum, Muthu's youngest daughter, said that the family would offer special prayers both at the mosque and Rameswaram temples. Sheikh Salim, the grandson of Muthu, said that the whole family would go over to New Delhi to attend the swearing-in ceremony. 30 persons from the family, including the Rameswaram temple's priest Venkata Subramaniam Shastri, Kalam's childhood friend, attended the ceremony in New Delhi. Issues like the need to uphold the secular values, development and empowerment of the poor and women provided a strong sense of continuity in the changeover from R.K. Narayan to Kalam. Narayanan to Kalam, like Narayanan, Kalam too quoted from the Tiruvalluvar's Thirukkural, composed 2000 years ago, to emphasize that the important elements that constitute a nation are the being disease-free, wealth, high productivity, harmonious living and strong defense. In his 10-minute address, he started with a quotation from Kabir's "Kal kare so aaj kare so ab." What you want to do tomorrow, do it today, and what you want to do today, do it now. He said that there was need for focused action on the part of the 1 billion citizens of ignite their minds to face challenges like cross-border terrorism, internal conflicts and unemployment. Dr. Kalam emphasized that national security was a national priority. Indeed, making India strong and self-reliant economically and militarily is our foremost duty to our motherland and to us and to our future generation. He said, leaders are born who can change the nation in multiple areas. The new president moved to his new home that Sir Edwin Lutyens built for India's first citizen. Moving from a 3-bedroom guest house to a 330-acre presidential estate was a simple affair for Kalam. No awkwardness, no fuss, no demands except for a few books. At times he takes stairs instead of the lift. Except for the whitewash, he wanted no change in the presidential suite. Till the whitewash was done, he stayed in the regal Dwarka suite for a couple of days. Most presidents spend months in the guest wing, waiting for the family wing to be refurnished according to their tastes. Kalam moved in all alone. 2 weeks into his new home atop Resinia Hill, the president started his morning walks to familiarize himself with the sprawling estate. He would set off at 6:30 a.m. He would not take the same route twice so that the staff living in the campus might not be disturbed. Kalam shuns publicity. Of course, it is different with children. The president never fails to oblige them with a handshake. After a brisk walk, he goes back to his suite, scans the newspapers, especially Tamil, and surfs the net. After bath and breakfast, the president is in the office by 10 a.m. By 2:30 p.m., he takes the lunch break. After a siesta, he is back to work at 4:30 p.m. and never leaves office before 7:30 or 8 p.m. In his suite, the lights are on till quite late. No one knows when he calls it a day. He adjusts himself when important persons call on him or he has to attend meetings and functions or go out of the capital. Dr. Kalam paid a visit to Gujarat, his first destination outside New Delhi. Much symbolism was attached to it as Gujarat was fresh from communal disturbances and the devastating earthquake. He visited some Muslim-dominated areas affected by riots. He took time to make an unscheduled visit to the Swami Narayan Pramukh Swami and the Jain saint Acharya Mahaprayag Ji. In his first address to the nation on the eve of Independence Day, Kalam rejected the view that Jammu and Kashmir was an international issue and made it clear to Pakistan that India was ready for a bilateral dialogue once cross-border terrorism was brought to an end. He also unfolded his vision for the nation that would transform it from the developing country's status to a developed one by integrating actions in fields like agriculture, education, health, and infrastructure. Dr. Kalam was the first president of India to have a visit to 4 countries: Russia, Ukraine, Switzerland, and Iceland. It was during his tour that problems arose in Goa and Jharkhand. On his coming back, he opened a 2-day conference of governors on the 14th of June 2005. The president asked the incumbents to rise above day-to-day politics and not to nurture political affiliations, warning that such tendency would lead to their isolation. President APJ Abdul Kalam inaugurated the second National Conference of Women Police at the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration in Mussoorie on the 27th of July 2005. The Chief Minister of Uttaranchal agreed with the views of the President and said that their aim is to have 30% women in the state police. In his speech on the eve of the Independence Day in 2005, the President spoke neither on the national nor international problems. He concentrated on the question of energy. He said that the government must aim to a mission to produce more of energy. It may be spelled in 25 years. That is, by the year 2030, the country should be self-sufficient in this field. He proposed that it should be accomplished through the efforts of younger generation, both in the public and private sector, for which financial aid should be provided. The President also laid stress on the need of helping the people who are facing the problems of flood. He again laid stress on the linking of rivers which can solve the problems of floods and drought. He said that he should and can be a world leader in the science of anticipating floods and other natural calamities like tsunami. On the 5th of August 2005, the President inaugurated the Center for DNA Fingerprinting and Diagnostics in Hyderabad. He asked microbiologists to focus on the genetic reason for higher incidence of cardiac diseases among Indians, besides taking genomic study to find the cause of sickle cell diseases. On the eve of the Teachers' Day 2005, President Kalam talked to Nona Walia about the life's toughest lessons learned and his mission of being a teacher to the Indian youth. There is a new idealism in the air, the new Kalamism. Here are quickness and precision. The President dreams of everyday things. He dreams of an incredible India. Kalam says, visualize your dreams. When dreams are pure, they possess electromagnetic energy. Desire and dreams together create a new energy every night as the mind falls into that sleep state. Each morning, the dreams return to the conscious state reinforced with the cosmic currents. Dreams help you to choose your mission in life, but the realization of dreams requires hard work and perseverance. On the 7th of October 2005, the President went to Allahabad and Chitrakoot. He visited the Din Dayal Research Institute, where he went to see Swavalamban, a project for collecting water. On 8th of October 2005, Dr. Kalam reached Allahabad to inaugurate the Platinum Jubilee function of National Academy of Sciences. The President has got a small cottage with the help of bamboos built on the ground of Rashtrapati Bhavan for meditation and yogic exercises. He is a man of simple living and sober thinking. After the Supreme Court judgment, the President asked the government to think afresh on the cases of mercy petitions filed on behalf of those who are given capital punishments. He very candidly said that it seems strange that capital punishment is generally given to the poor of the poorest. During his tenure, India saw an unprecedented scientific advancement. Due to his simplicity and accessibility, he could maintain a close relationship with the people of India, which led him to be known as the People's President. It was during his tenure that the Rashtrapati Bhavan became accessible to the common man, as Kalam liked to interact with children and the public. He was voted India's best president in a poll conducted by CNN-IBN. When his term ended on the 25th of July 2007, it became clear that the people of India wanted him to have a second term, but it was not to be. Awards. Dr. Kalam has received a host of awards in both in India and abroad. He was awarded the Padma Bhushan in 1981 and Padma Vibhushan in 1990. He was the recipient of the 1997 Bharat Ratna Award, India's highest civilian award. In 1991, he received an honorary degree of Doctor of Science from the Indian Institute of Technology. In fact, Dr. Kalam was conferred with the Doctor of Science DSc honoris causa by 30 universities. He was awarded the Indira Gandhi Award for National Integration in 1997. Other prestigious awards he received include Dr. Viren Rai Space Award, Om Prakash Vasin Award for Science and Technology, National Nehru Award, Aryabhatta Award, etc. Among the many firsts to his credit, he became India's first president to undertake an undersea journey when he boarded the INS Sindhurakshak, a submarine from Visakhapatnam. He also became the first president to undertake a sortie in a fighter aircraft, a Sukhoi 30 MKI. Dr. Kalam is the fourth president of India to have been honored with a Bharat Ratna before being elected to the highest office, the other three being Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, V.V. Giri and Zakir Hussain. He is also the first scientist and a bachelor to occupy Rashtrapati Bhavan. He is well versed in the Tirukkal and quotes with ease from both the Quran and the Bhagavad Gita. Kalam is a truly secular Indian in the truest sense of the term. He combines within him the best of spiritual enlightenment and scientific inquiry. He also plays the veena, which is rare for a Muslim. He also writes poetry in his native Tamil language. 17 of these were translated into English and published published in 1994 as the book My Journey. He has written several books including autobiography Wings of Fire. Kalam believes that success is the result of hard work and perseverance. Being single-minded, target-oriented and focused in one's approach is the key to realize goals. In his autobiography Wings of Fire, Kalam writes, "Those who cannot work with their hearts achieve but a hollow, half-hearted success that breeds bitterness all around. To success in your mission, you must have single-minded devotion to your goal. Man needs his difficulties because they are necessary to enjoy success. You have to dream before dreams can come true. Life is a difficult game. You can win it only by retaining your birthright to be a person." His emphasis on nurturing young talents and unleashing their talents is most clearly expressed in his book Ignited Minds, Unleashing the Power Within India. Mr. Kalam spent almost a year meeting thousands of school children all over the country, trying to ignite their minds so that India turns into a developed nation by 2020. He wrote a book named India 2020, A Vision for the New Millennium. It is based on a report prepared by the Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council (TIFSC), which gave a blueprint for achieving the status of a developed nation by 2020. In this amazingly simplistic understanding, he suggests there is nothing mysterious about the abundance in developed nations. The historic fact is that the people of these nations believed over many generations that they must live a good life in a strong and prosperous nation, and the reality became aligned with their aspirations. At one point, Dr. Kalam says, transparency is the cornerstone of development. He talks about the necessity of role models for a child, something which is obviously important. He also talks about the need for self-reliance and a search for solutions which are specific to our conditions rather than imported or transplanted from other countries. He discusses the need for improvements in agriculture, education, health, etc. He also warns against becoming a provider of cheap labor in areas of high technology and the pitfalls of getting carried away with the success of a few in the software industry. There are other themes which are more controversial. For instance, in a long chapter on learning from saints and seers, he talks about his meetings with holy men of various hues. All of them, including Kalam, are of the opinion that spirituality must be integrated with education. There is also a strange nonsense with which Dr. Kalam writes. Take for instance his statement, "We could easily accomplish 3 times what we do in half the time we normally take if we operate in mission mode with a vision for the nation." While encouraging the youth and emphasizing on nurturing young minds and talents, Kalam makes it a point to remind the youth that politics is not for kids. For students, the first job is to study well and excel. Kalam said that corruption can be removed by 3 people: the father, the mother, and the elementary school teacher. The Life Tree is the latest book of APJ Abdul Kalam. It is a compilation of his 26 poems, originally composed in English or translated from Tamil by Mani Darshi. They are a fusion of the view of a scientist and poet. He sees the life tree growing with the mantra, "Learn and learn. You, the human race, is the best of my creation. You will live and live. You give and give till you are united. In human happiness and pain, my bliss will be born in you. Love is continuum. That is the mission of humanity. You will see every day in life tree. You learn and learn my best of creations. You are born. Live a life of giving and bond with ties of affection. Your mission is the life tree." The Life Tree is a poetic pioneer of the years ahead with Kalam's personal metaphors that seek to balance linguistic and cultural gaps in conveying aspirations of the new generation. His progressive scientific spirit is seen when he said, "We must think and act like a nation of 1 billion people and not like that of 1 million people. Dream, dream, dream. Conduct these dreams into thoughts and then transform them into action." In fact, as a dreamer for India, he acted on its behalf to place her into the exclusive space club. He wove a first world dream for the third world nation. Thank you.